This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter, and welcome to another Sports Catastrophe on this date. And on this date, November 2nd, 1978, the Indianapolis Racers of the World Hockey Association decided to do something very trivial, in a sense. They got rid of the greatest player in NHL history to Edmonton because they needed money to save the franchise. So let's give some context to the story. It's the Indianapolis Racers. Yes, that's Wayne Gretzky in an Indianapolis uniform. And if you're thinking Indiana had a hockey team, well, a World Hockey Association team, not an NHL team, mind you. So Indianapolis actually started playing the WHA in 1974. They weren't just some second-year team or some crap like that. They actually came to the WHA, which was weird. Because the state of Indiana had the Pacers to cheer for in the ABA before they moved to the NBA. But it was like weird and all that. So the Racers started off not so great. They only won 18 games their first season. But in 76, they actually won the Eastern Division, which was weird, given how there were 4 games below 500. They won their division, but lost the quarterfinals to the New England/Hartford Whalers. In 1977, 1 game under 500. They were third in their conference. They beat Cincinnati, which is like weird. Cincy had a WHA team. Yes, they did. Before the Racers would lose the semifinal to the Quebec Nordiques. After a 24-51-5 season, things were looking bad. The only problem was Indianapolis' owner, Nelson Skalbania, was a flamboyant Canadian real estate businessman who was actually only known for flipping real estate property and sports franchises for a profit. So logically, he would pick them up and then he would sell them for a profit, not really caring about the team whatsoever. He just wanted the money. Gee, and that was in the 1970s? Well, people have done that for many decades. A lot of people thought that Skalbania was mismanaging the team and wanted to move the team to Canada. With the way that if the NHL decides to merge with the WHA, they would put a team in Canada. After all, 3 of the 4 teams that came in the merger, WHA NHL merger, were Canadian, with Hartford being the other one, the only one that wasn't there. Anyway, the WHA would not allow teams to be in Canada. I mean, Ottawa had a team for 1 season, then they moved to Toronto, and then Toronto really had problems with their WHA team because of Harold Ballard not wanting them to play at Maple Leaf Gardens. Fair enough. I get it. So, yeah. And, Edmonton, Quebec, and Winnipeg were all doing quite well. Anyways, Vancouver had a team for a little bit. Calgary had a team for a little bit. But, yeah. Skalbania needed leverage in the ongoing merger discussions. So he turned to the underage players. The NHL had rules that you could not sign a guy under the age of 18. So Skalbania said, you know what, screw it. I'm taking that 17-year-old Wayne Gretzky. Gretzky had such a great minor league career. He was interviewed all over Canada. He was dominating leagues like there was no other. He played 1 season in the OHL for Sault Ste. Marie. Didn't think you knew that Gretzky was an OHLer for 1 year. He was for 1 year. And then Skalbania signed him to Indianapolis. Personal services contract of up to $1.7 million for 7 years. And it seemed to work, but it didn't improve the financial situation. Skalbania needed money, and the team was hemorrhaging money left, right, and center. So Skalbania, 8 games into the 1979 season, said, screw it, we got to get rid of him. So he liquidated his greatest asset to his old friend and future business partner, Peter Pocklington, owner of the Oil Drops, or the Oilers, to you and me. Anyway, Pocklington purchased Gretzky and 2 other Indy players, Eddie Meal and Peter Driscoll, giving about $700,000 to $850,000 to Indianapolis for those 3 players. Ed Meal would be decent, but he wouldn't be the star Edmonton goalie. That would have been Dave Dryden, who sadly passed away recently. Peter Driscoll, not really much of a person. Unfortunately, though, that money did not go far, as 9 games passed after Gretzky was traded to Edmonton for the money. The Racers would fold. So after 17 games, Indianapolis could not compete. Well, 5-18-2. They weren't the best team out there, the worst team out there. Anyway, so that was it. The Racers were out of the WHA, and that meant only 6 teams would play that year. Edmonton, Winnipeg, Quebec, and New England, or now soon to be known as Hartford, they actually would enter the NHL as expansion teams. There would be a merger. Cincy and Birmingham survived, which was shocking. Like, those teams survived, but they were paid to disband. So, those cities actually came out quite well. The funny thing is that, sorry, that Gretzky was loyal to the cause. People forget Mark Messier also was an Indianapolis racer. He had a 5-game tryout, didn't score a point, and then he was later picked up by Cincy because of the dispersal draft. So Cincy had Messier for a while, and then the others got his right to the NHL draft. Messier would become the last active player to play in the WHA / Racers. Scalpania may have gotten away with it if it wasn't for those meddling kids. Scalpania had a lot of issues in the CFL too, especially with the Montreal Alouettes franchise. Anyway, Scalpania would actually become an NHL owner the next year in 1980 when he and a group of people bought out the Atlanta Flames and moved them to Calgary. And it worked out in the end. Scalpania got its name on the cup for the 89 squad. It was just shocking to you and me seeing that Wayne Gretzky was in the WHA and playing for a team not Edmonton. He was playing for Indianapolis. And people forget Indianapolis had a WHA team. I wouldn't put it against you. Like, San Diego had a WHA team. Philadelphia, San Francisco almost did. Miami was supposed to, but they moved to Philadelphia before they started their existence in the WHA. So, yeah, beautiful. But, I add that, it actually worked out for Gretzky. He did well for the Oilers. They did lose the WHA final to Winnipeg, but who cares? They got to the league, and Gretzky got to the NHL as an 18-year-old. Like, the Oilers were allowed to protect him, and they did. They protected him. They're like, that's our greatest asset. And he became Canada's greatest asset. So much so that when he was traded to Los Angeles in 1988, Parliament tried to stop it, saying that you can't get rid of our greatest resource. Making Wayne Gretzky's a resource. Why the hell didn't they talk about that with Rocket Richard or Gordie Howe or even Bobby Orr? But yeah, it is what it is. But in Rocket's defense, like, he played for the Canadians. Howe and Orr didn't play for a Canadian NHL team. So yeah, so it all worked out for Gretzky in the end, and Messier for that matter. Indianapolis still has the Pacers, and they're okay, but they're not the greatest. But that's all there is to it. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. I do.